They stopped teaching grammar and language arts in elementary schools and made it all one subject to kind of start to wean out the fact that they're no longer teaching grammar and how to break down sentences and etymology to these kids at all.
Yes, and then look at, and this is one of the reasons why, Nathaniel, like I wanted to plug in the computer, because I wanted to read the philosophy page of the General Education Board, you know, like particularly in Philadelphia, in this area. You know and I know that they've closed a lot of schools, but they're building all these buildings, right? I mean, you can't even, if they can find a hole in Philadelphia, the day you go to sleep, you wake up tomorrow, you see these cranes all over the place. But they're broke, right? But and all these schools, right? But anyway, the General Education Board, their commitment is to keep the people just like they are, to make them docile. All right, now, parents are complaining about their children being miseducated, but the parents themselves won't even read the philosophy of the General Education Board. And then they'll start Negro organizations marching, talking about self-esteem for the children. And we want to tell them and have meetings. How many meetings they've had in Philadelphia alone to discuss the miseducation of the children, about whether they're going to get some good, better books or more books, or what they're going to do with the teachers to get better education for the children. And they themselves never even read the philosophy of the General Education Board. It's not only hypocritical, it's incompetent, and it's documented they don't intend to educate these children, and that they're deliberately making them docile.
They're babysitters.
Yes, they're babysitting them, and they're molding them for prison and death.
Yes.
From the beginning. This is not, you know what makes it so ugly? It's documented, it's not a secret. And you got all these adults that always claiming special personal relationship with Jesus and won't even read the document on the General Education Board, and they keep delivering their children to these people who are destroying their children.
They don't understand that there's no separation between religion and state, so that they have...
No, not religion and state, church and state. Now this is back to right on the Parkway, 18th Street. There's 3 numbers that make 18. What are they? 3 numbers that add together make 18. What are they?
6.
We're having problems.
6.
I hope you're saying
6.
Right. 6, yeah.
all right, right there on 18th Street. And it's 3 stars. We just went over it earlier. Vatican, District of London. What else? Washington, District of Columbia. And they're all what? States, sovereign unto themselves, working together to enforce the Spanish Inquisition. Who was the Inquisition against? The Moors. Who are these people who are Moors? They think that human beings are crayons. Who told them that? They're black leaders who know Jesusness. Do you understand the trouble that we're in? And then they defend it when it's provably false. Not belief, provably false. Back to point, etymon degree, right? Let's deal with this. Let's keep this simple. We went over this before, didn't we, Nathaniel? Let's just 3rd grade stuff. How many parts of speech?
8.
8 parts of speech. There we go. 3rd grade grammatication. First thing you do when you look up a word in the dictionary, this is the rule, universal, grammatication, orthology. Look at the word and you immediately do what? Categorize it before you go into the linear entries. What is that called? Part of speech, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you go in the dictionary, as an example, black. Come on over here just a minute, brother, if you don't mind. Can you hold this camera for him so you can continue? Come over here. Now pretend you don't know this. You just know one.
Okay.
You know, we're just talking.
Right.
Now imagine you're an adult Imagine your children or your children's children or any child that's sitting here right now. Just use your imagination. Now, in their mind, they're educated. And most adults too, right? All right, so let's look up black. And I'm going to also show you that most people don't even know how to use a dictionary. Less more know how to read. I'm going to show you why and how. So here's black, right?
Right.
Then you go to its matrix. What is its matrix?
Me.
What's that? What's the matrix?
Oh, A, I'm sorry.
What's that? It's an adjective. See, all right, now, hold on, let's keep it. Let's keep it.
Right.
All right, so it's an adjective.
Right.
This is before we even get down here. We're not even going into the linear adjective, right?
Mhm.
Then you see these brackets here? That's called the etymology. That's called this. That's called this. See this?
Right.
The etymology. So, third grade grammar. First thing, part per speech, part, right?
Right.
So it's an adjective. So it's an adjective, a person, place, thing, or idea.
No, it's describing.
All right, so it's a modifier, isn't it?
Right.
So now you know if it's given to a human being, it's pejorative, or it's an insult or nom de guerre. Automatically you know that in scholarship. Remember this third grade grammar. So now a scholar automatically knows that's not an identity. So if it's not an identity and it describes and it's calling these people black, is this black?
Looks brown on me.
No, not looks like. See, that's not, adjectives is not necessary.
That's true. That's true.
What is it?
It's not black.
It's dark olive.
It's not black.
Oh, thank you.
It's not black.
Hold on now, we ain't finished. So now you're going to the etymology. What's the first thing is right there?
Me.
What is me?
M-E.
Huh? All right, that's Middle English. So now let's go to Middle English. I'm going to show you how simple this is. And what I'm showing you is why they talk about our people can't read.
Right.
It's why we're going through this lesson.
That's good stuff.
Keeping it simple, isn't it? And it can't be denied, can it? Here you go, Middle English. So now, you see Middle English? And what does it say here? 1125 and about 1475. So you're dealing with roughly 1100 to close to 1500, right? So now you put the math on it. Now the scholar knows that that word doesn't go back in linguistics beyond 1100, essentially 1125. So now when a scholar says to your children, the ancient black gods of Egypt, a scholar already knows that he's lying. But a child who can't read accepts that, don't they? Because they can't damn count. So you understand why they keep saying black people can't read? Because they've been trained like rats and don't know it. Then they're arrogant because they keep on calling their ignorance spirituality. Then they wonder why the civilized world keep rejecting them. Now they're racist. Racist to human species. See how we've been played?
They say black people can't read because if black people could read,
Because they can't read.
They would know that they weren't black.
Do you understand? Now this is before you even get into the linear entry.
Right.
Now I'm gonna get past that. Now go right down to here. Now in third grade, still for third grade, you put two or more words together. What do you call it?
Conjunction.
Yeah, conjunction.
See how you're conjunction is a part of speech. Now I want you to consider. If you don't know what chances your children have.
Right.
Now consider this across the board. Family, friends, people we grew up with that are intelligent. And it never dawns on them that they can't read. Because they can pronounce words, it never dawns on them they can't read. I'm showing you why that's it. And it's a valid statement.
Valid. Definitely.
Now, look at this compound word. What's that say?
Blackamoor.
Say it loud.
Blackamoor.
Is it one word or is it two or more words put together?
It's multiple words put together.
What matrix or part of speech?
Noun.
So now, person, place, thing, or idea. It's not an adjective, is it?
Nope.
So now, but yet it's a compound word, so it's clearly one more word put together, isn't it?
Right.
So now, that's an adjective and a noun. So what's it say right here? Read it out loud.
A Negro, especially an African Negro.
So these people think that Negroes are what?
Especially an African Negro.
Yes. So who are they?
Any dark
They're
skinned
real.
person.
So who? That's who they are.
Moors.
What's that got to do with how they feel? What's that got to do with belief? What's that got to do with religion? That's their bloodline. In an ordinary dictionary. They don't even know who the hell they are. They're going to tell you about Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad, Salat, prayer, mystery systems, Nibiru, 13th planet, the 5th dimension, and don't even know their damn bloodline. See why nobody respects us? That's an Edamon degree. 3rd grade grammar.
I had to get that book.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
A little off.
So now,
Thanks.
you understand the job of the so-called black leaders keeping the paradigm of this black thing going on and what the payoff's all about? Because it makes the people non-descendable. But they don't know about descendability because they don't know they have an estate. Do you see the whole point? So this whole paradigm of this black thing is to keep us busy arguing stupid arguments. And we're declared incompetent. But we do it with passion, don't we?
Most of these women having babies right now don't know the difference between a birth certificate and a live record of birth.
All right, birth certificate is a bank bond. Now, keep in mind with the United States corporations that we were talking about earlier. Now, you wasn't here earlier because when we were talking and we were going through the different United States. Now, coming up from Woodrow Wilson, because remember these are step-by-steps. Then Franklin Delano Roosevelt, June the 5th, 1933, 192nd Congress, 73rd, no, House Joint Resolution 192, 73rd Congress, June the 5th, 1933. This is when they did the fake bank holiday. And they what? Was stealing our gold. That's what they've been here for anyway. You see this whole step-by-step process? Then what they did with the new United States, again, because they bankrupted the other one, you see how they keep on stepping in? And now there's another United States, but it's a company, it's not the government, which were overthrown 1861. You see, you got to keep your head clear. So what they did, they pledged all of the birth certificates as bank bonds. Are we clear? This is where people who are finding this out, or you see them running around trying to authenticate the birth certificates and all that kind of stuff, and trying to get control of that transmitting utility. Ask them about the World Global Trust and give you the history that I just gave you. Most of them can't. Do you understand what I'm saying? They know that they don't have lawful money, but they don't know their own daggone history. And in law, they would still be declared incompetent. And it's, you know, it's sort of like our people have been trained so much to be offended by knowledge that when somebody's giving them fact, they actually start attacking people with knowledge as if they're doing something to them. Because it makes their black leaders look like what they really are. That's incompetent. And not honest either. And that's why as soon as you get into this knowledge, they start talking about, well, all I need is the Lordness. All I need is Jesus, just pray on it. And all that kind of stuff to divert the argument. And then they start saying, oh, yeah, I don't need all that knowledge stuff. Yeah, all that's good, but we just going to pray on it. Now, people who don't have knowledge follow after that kind of stuff, not knowing that that person's an operative. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because they don't have reference points, so they can't judge. They lean to their emotions because they have no real reference points. I gave you reference points. Do you understand what I'm saying? But I didn't so much give it to you honestly. I let you give it to yourself. I just pointed it out to you to make you pay attention. And the little chuckles that you exhibited was your own recognition of basic things that, damn,
Right.
this is simple, and I didn't know it. I mean, that's in your own mind.
Exactly.
And that's for anyone, if they're not too proud to recognize you can get taught. But also, you've been played. Accept it. And start learning. you understand what I'm saying to you? But the people don't know that it creates a legal status that they haven't been made aware of. It's not just informational missing components. It creates a legal status that they're not being told. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is where they can legally, not lawfully, but legally abuse our people, and there's no remedy. And because now in law, they're what is known as civil liter mortuus, or dead in the eyes of the law. Now the opposite of that, what they're marching around, is called full life. Them black leaders don't tell them that, do they?
No.
Do you understand? You want to ask a question, cuz?
Yes. So when they create these certificates and bonds in this children's name, it's to say that this person or this corporation is going to work off our debt?
No, this is what it is. This is what it is. Let's back up and be very, very, very clear. And let's try to keep it simple. The United States Corporation Company that Lincoln bankrupted was a corporation that was set up in 1754 by Benjamin Franklin. That name of that corporation was the United States. They used that platform to undermine the legitimate United States Republic that was set up between Muslims and deists that you call the Founding Fathers. This is why they won't teach people that George Washington was the 9th president. They'll tell people he was the 1st president, because they don't want to go into the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that Obama talked about of 1790 and also 1784, 1785, and the founding of this government. That's why Obama sent the signal that the United States Constitution comes from Muslim law. He's telling the real history. But he knows our people don't have reference points. But he also knows our people are really passionately tied to this black thing. And they will attack him for saying that he ain't black, because they want him to be black too.
Right.
He's Kenyan. He's got a nationality. He honors his mothers and his fathers. A black man can't be president because he's property. But they don't know that. They think it's an identity.
Refix the person.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So he's doing the best he can to tell them without them throwing rocks at him. He ain't traitor, he ain't never did nothing for a black man. He's trying to get them to stop being black, which is a dead status. But they don't know it because they only deal with beliefs. Do you understand? That's why do your phone please and pull up.
You was watching a letter.
Oh, yes.
I have the Forgotten Scrolls also.
Yes. We say, cuz?
I have the Forgotten Scrolls also.
All right. Now, and this is George Washington in his Masonic garb. Right? And then you can see here, now keep in mind here, this is a letter from George Washington to Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Sultan of Morocco. See, now you understand what Obama was talking about? City of New York, December the 1st, 1789. So he was in office for about what? Since April the 30th of that same year. So how long was he president? Only about 7 months. And this is his letter to who? This is his letter to the Sultan of Morocco. Great and magnanimous friend, since the date of the letter which the late Congress, by their president, addressed your Imperial Majesty. So according to George Washington's own letter, is he the first president?
No.
How come they don't read this to the children in school? And how come the so-called black leaders stay away from this information? Because it upsets the black paradigm that they've been promoting and getting paid for, that appears to be legitimate. And then they talk about they don't know that this land's Morocco and we ain't Moors, we black. That's why they stay away from this. Now I'm going to read it all the way through and then ask any questions. Since the date of the letter which the late Congress, by their president, addressed your Imperial Majesty, the United States of America have thought proper to change their government and institute a new one agreeable to the Constitution, of which I have the honor herewith to enclose a copy. The time necessarily employed in the arduous task and the disarrangements occasioned by so great though peaceable a revolution will apologize and account for your majesty's not having received those regularly advised marks of attention from the United States, which the friendship and magnanimity of your conduct toward them afforded reason to expect. The United States, having unanimously appointed me to supreme executive authority in this nation, your majesty's letter of August the 17th, 1788, which by reason of the dissolution of the late government remained unanswered and has been delivered to me. I have also received the letters which your imperial majesty has been so kind as to write in favor of the United States to the Bashaws of Tunis and Tripoli, and I present to you the sincere acknowledgments and thanks of the United States for this important mark of your friendship for them. We greatly regret the hostile disposition of those regencies toward this nation who have never injured them is not to be removed on terms of our power to comply with. Within our territories there are no mines whether of gold or silver, and this young nation, having just recovering from the waste and dissolution of a long war, have not as yet had time to acquire riches by agriculture and commerce, but our soil is bountiful and our people industrious, and we have reason to flatter ourselves that we shall gradually become useful to our friends. The encouragement with which your majesty has been pleased generously to give to our commerce with your dominions, the punctuality with which you have caused a treaty with us to be observed, and the just and generous measures taken in the case of Captain Proctor make a deep impression on the United States and confirm their respect for and attachment to your Imperial Majesty. It gives me great pleasure to have the opportunity of assuring your Majesty that while I remain at the head of this nation, I shall not cease to promote every measure that may conduce to the friendship and harmony which so happily subsists between your empire and them, and shall esteem myself happy in every occasion of convincing your Majesty of the high sense which in common with the whole nation I entertain the magnanimity, wisdom, and benevolence of your Majesty. May the Almighty bless your Imperial Majesty, our great and magnanimous friend, with his constant guidance and protection, signed George Washington. So as you can see, the United States is an appendage of the Moorish Empire. How come they ain't telling you that? Now, scholars recognize it. Masons know this. This is why one of the first lessons they give in all secret societies is Ruth the Moabitess. Yahshua's great-great-grandmother, the one they call Jesus. And the short for what? Moabite is what? Moroccan. Short for that is Moor. Now I'm going to read here, and here you go with the preamble. So here's the preamble. To all persons to whom these presents shall come or be made known, whereas the United States of America in Congress assembled by their commission, bearing date the 12th day of May 1784, thought proper to constitute John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson their ministers plenipotentiary, giving to them, or majority of them, full power to confer, treat, and negotiate with the ambassador, minister, or commissioner of His Majesty the Emperor of Morocco, concerning a treaty of amity and commerce, to make and receive propositions for such treaty, and to conclude and sign the same, transmitting to the United States in Congress assembled for their final ratification. And by one other commission bearing the date the 11th day of March 1785, did further empower the said ministers plenipotentiary, or majority of them, by writing under the hands and seals, to appoint such agent in the said business as they might think proper, with authority under the directions and instruction of the ministers, to commence and prosecute the said negotiations and conferences for the said treaty, provided that the said treaty shall be signed by ministers. And whereas we, the said John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, two of the said ministers plenipotentiary, the said Benjamin Franklin being absent by writing under the hand and seal of the said John Adams at London, October the 5th, 1785, and of the said Thomas Jefferson at Paris, October the 11th of the same year, did appoint Thomas Barclay agent in the business aforesaid, giving him the powers therein, which by the said second commission we were authorized to give, and the said Thomas Barclay, in pursuance thereof, both arranged articles for a treaty of amity and commerce between the United States of America and His Majesty, the Emperor of Morocco, and sealed with his royal seal, being transmitted into the language of the said United States of America, together with the attestations thereto annexed, are in the following words, to wit: in the name of Almighty God, this is a treaty of peace and friendship established between us and the United States of America, which is confirmed and which we have ordered to be written in the book and sealed with our royal seal at our court of Morocco in the 25th day of the blessed month of Shaban in the year 1200, trusting in God it will remain permanent. Morocco, treaty of peace and friendship with the Moroccan flag. That's the real American flag right there. Now, and as you can see, even under the preamble, that they were ministers plenipotentiary under the authority of the Sultan. You know, and of course, we know, but you know and I know, that the so-called black leaders are paid to try to minimize this information or to act like Noble Drew Ali made this stuff up, or that it's a belief. This is the real history. This is your estate. That's what's in trust. That's what the global world trust is about. It is the trust regulating the spoils of war. That's why all what used to be allodial titles here are converted into mortgages and liens since 1913. Look up the congressional records. And the people are listed as tenants. So again, now,
So she said, what debt, you know, she was talking about that we have debt, so, you know.
we don't have debt. What they've been doing is converting their debt to us.
That's exactly what I
Now,
meant.
but it isn't true. You see, this is why this information must be known. Because as people start waking up, they keep on trying to discharge debt that don't exist. That ain't theirs. That's why they need to know this history, because the Europeans stealing their birthright still.
And what I was getting at is it starts at birth. So most of these people don't know how to save their children, as Karen was teaching her children how to be fighters, how to be strong, how to know the difference, how to know the difference between the authority of the people that are trying to take us down and the people who look like us who are trying to keep them alive.
Now, to harmonize, to direct an answer to what you're presenting, let's go back to Noble Drew Ali so now you can understand it better. Come all ye Asiatics of North America and learn the truth about your nationality and your birthright. You're not Negroes, blacks, colored, or Ethiopians. Learn of your ancient forefathers' divine creed. Come and link yourselves back with the families of nations. Now, when you understand the history, you understand his statement. If you don't understand the history, it's an interesting statement, but it's not actionable. So what is the key? How were they made non-descendable to the estate? By the branding system. So what do you do to cure that? Although you still have work to do. It's called universally, not just with us, universally. It's called nationalization, not naturalization, nationalization. That is the people of the land, the rightful heirs and beneficiaries. What is it referenced for certain rights and privileges for foreigners or aliens? That's called naturalization. Are we clear?